Hi, everyone. I think we're live. We'll make sure we're live. Let's see.
We are live.
Okay, hi. Hi, Lara.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so we got a few of us on. Yay. Hello, everybody. Yay. I see a bunch of you here now. Thank you for being present. Okay, so how is everybody today? Welcome. It is the 2nd of August, and I'm so happy you're here. Thanks for joining us. So we are in the summer eclipse season energies, and I just wanted to say at the beginning of this call, I didn't really think about anything I was going to say. I kind of never do, but I wanted to acknowledge that because a lot of people are going through intense things, myself included. I mean, the shifting of our consciousness and our lives and the planet and the collective humanity is really intense, I think. That is what I really notice working with people and in my own personal life. So just wanted to give you some support around that idea that, sometimes we just hang on and kind of like hold on. And then other times we're like really expand into that expression of how it's showing up for yourself in your life. And one of the messages I was getting a lot this morning when I was sitting in meditation before this call was that to remind everyone that we and you are not alone. Really intensely was getting that message, like it was shooting through my body. And I think that was personal to me too, but it felt like a collective reminder and how that can be supported in your life. And so that is something I wanted to share with you all, that if you are feeling like it's really intense and it's really challenging in different ways, all kinds of ways, expected ways and unexpected ways that you might be experiencing life and the world and your own personal relationships or healing processes or anything that's going on for you, that you are not alone. And in many ways, something like this call is helpful for that. Some things that we do in our healing work and connecting with people of like mind is super, super important at this time. Years and years ago when Osairah came in and was talking in the beginning a lot about unity. And this was probably 10 years ago now, maybe 8 or 9. And the conversation was, this was no longer the time of the lone wolf. And that was just a way that something that was out there in the world. But now it is not that time. And so the more that we unite, the more that we share good information, the more that we share each other, the more that we support each other in every way possible, we are uplifting the light and the healing and the collective agreement that we've come here for. So I just felt really inspired to share that with you today, because a lot of the time in a walk like we do, we can feel alone. We can feel those really dark nights of the soul. We can go through processes where it just is like, oh my God, I am going to die here in this pain or this anxiety or this stress or this healing. And I don't know how to get to that next level. And we think that we're doing it by ourselves. And the message this morning, which was really clear to me again in the meditation, was that literally all around us all the time is the support. Invisibly so too. And you wouldn't be on this call if you didn't understand that or you didn't recognize that for yourself. So my support and reflection on when I was in meditation is I was literally being surrounded, as I often am, as you know, but I was really hyper aware of almost like the hypnotic trance that we can get into about negative belief systems and about negative ideas about being alone. And what I think that does, and I know that does, is that makes us smaller and we step into the small self. And then we feel very powerless. And sometimes then we have to self-generate to make things happen. And I mean, the majority of people on the call are women. So I'm going to say, and especially as women, we feel like we have to make stuff happen in order to survive it all, I guess. And the message with them standing around me is we're always, always, always here. We're always here for your support. We're always here to help guide you. We're always here to show you the synchronicities, to show you the signs, to whisper in your ear. And a lot of you know my story and about the various ways I got those whisperings and those direct pings and those direct connections. And that's really important for us to pay attention to. Some of you might feel like, yeah, I do pay attention to that. And I still feel lost. And that happens too. I've definitely lived through many times like that. And I think that that's the growth process as well, to keep trusting that you're right where you're supposed to be, that exactly the right things are happening, even if they're just excruciating, and to kind of keep holding on, to remember you're not alone, reach out, ask, offer, meaning ask for help and offer help, both ways, you know, and that really uplifts us and that keeps us moving higher and expanding more. So, yeah, I just really wanted to drop in with that this morning because I feel collectively this walk that so many of us are doing. And so I guess with that, and I'm so grateful that all of you are here. Hi, everyone. Let me just check that again. Yay. So happy to see you all. Just a reminder before we get started, you will get to ask questions if you'd like. You get to type them in. I think you all got the information on that. If you didn't send in any questions ahead of time, we never really know how the call is going to go, which is part of the fun and the roller coaster ride excitement of, well, we get on, let's see what happens. Maybe there's questions. Maybe there's no time because they talk so much that they're just going to give you what they want to give you. But if you do have a question, you can type that in and Laura will be translating that. I'm pretty sure like once she gets it and she reads it on her side, she will be able to ask that of Osairah, or whoever comes through. I was really feeling really strongly this morning, Isis and Mother Mary. So it was interesting because, you know, this is a call for Osairah, and yet most of you know that I channel also Mother Mary for sure, and have done a lot of work with Isis and the Divine Feminine, as so many of you, most everybody here in the call today is our women, is just such a powerful force of our collective change on this planet. And so I believe that's one of the reasons why so many women are rising up in their power, and all kinds of things are happening spiritually regarding, you know, that kind of awakening. So I was feeling them very strongly this morning, sensing them around me. So we'll see what happens. But if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in. And Laura, is there anything else before I step aside that you can think of that I might have missed?
No, I don't think so. I think we're all ready.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Couldn't do it without Laura. And Laura is in Bali up at 2 a.m. in the morning at least. So I love you, Laura, and I'm really grateful. Thank you. All right. So I will see you all soon. Talk to you again. Indeed, greetings to you, dear ones. We are that one known as Osairah, and we are overjoyed to be in this alignment with you all. We are recognizing you. We are recognizing the way in which you are connected to your physical bodies. We are recognizing the way in which this technology is aligned and working in a perfect alignment way, synergistically, even with the connection of all beings on this call, conversation, connection, frequency. We are recognizing to say to you that it is what we would say a most potent time. We are that collective. You already know most. Yes, indeed. All of you know we are that collective known as Osairah. And this moment of this, we will say, transmission is a divine reflection of conversation that in some ways our beloved channel already began. We have many, what we would say, points of topic we would like to talk about, because we know how this has been a consideration, how it is to offer you all the pieces of your journey individually and collectively that will most support you when we come together in this way. The very important piece that was already mentioned that we will really want to drop in on, conversate on, is this. Absolutely, you are not alone. The love that is in expression on this planet, though it seems veiled at times, is very, 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 very alive and well for you all. We have wanted to bridge a conversation that has to do with the words, the word or the conversation around the idea of source energy, or which many prefer to say God, or many prefer to say as the one. It matters not how it is that piece of languaging is offered, really, actually, because it is all the oneness of the wholeness that you are. Using the word God only sometimes ruffles certain people's feathers, or actually that is a way to get people into a stream of consciousness. So what we will like to say this day, it matters not, we will back and forth conversate about the idea of God consciousness, or source energy. And here is what we really would like to say. You are not alone. God consciousness, source energy, all that you are is always ever present where you are. How you can transfer that consciousness, that piece of conversation, into your physical, emotional, spiritual, metaphysical, every layer of your being, your light body, etc., go on and on and on, talk about all ways, is to really have a centering, centering concentration on that you are actually full of love. Even when there is the places with feelings of unworthiness, lack, doubt, self-worth, low self-esteem, etc., we would like for you to center in and really take a moment to feel the expansion that within you there is only love. Really, at the heart and center of all consciousness, there is love. Now, when we talk about that, we know what arises for many of our human friends, the duality of that, the opposites of that, the way in which your world is expressing so much what seems to be the opposite of love. And when we have this conversation, it is important for us to acknowledge that you go through those kinds of, corridors of consciousness around the opposite of love. Before this very moment, we wish to only focus and concentrate on how to expand that love consciousness within you, to dissipate then, dissipate those corridors of serious pain, doubt, and fear, the places where the unworthiness comes to germinate, take root, and start to flourish. When you focus and concentrate on the expression of the truth that you really are, and not let those other places fully bloom, you begin to take over the system of the corridors that are the lacking places, or the hurtful places, or the places of doubt and fear where love can not quite reside the same way. So we are connecting to the alignments of your hearts this day. So we would ask you to open your heart, to center for a moment, even close your eyes in this way. Being with us in this frequency, you did not choose this by accident. You are literally sitting in this moment wherever you are, and energetically we see you and we thank you for being in this connection. We cannot overstate how much we are having this moment of overjoyful connection to the mission being served. And we are definitely what you would say on a mission. So what you would acknowledge to yourself in this moment is, I drop into my heart. However that works for you, you just may have to say it. You may put your hands on your heart center and you feel your heart beating. You may close your eyes or you may keep them open, however feels good to you. And as you do that, you allow yourself to be in this moment fully present with the words and the energy and the frequency, the tonality, the cadence in which we are offering all that we are offering through this beloved channel and the way that this comes through in languaging. We are dropping in the codes of light through this conversation, through the languaging as well, for the frequency of sound through this beloved, the way that the sound reaches to you energetically creates what we would say, in a sense, a holographic matrix connected to your physical body, your emotional system, your cellular system, the way in which you are having a focus in concentration as being a human being in this body temple that you are operating from with the consciousness that you are from all time and all space. And what we mean by that is that you are ever eternal, wider continuation of all that you have ever been and essentially all that you ever will be in what you would call the future. And you are heavily focused as you are in this moment. So with that heavy focus as being who you think you are in this moment, dropping into your heart space, we will be connecting what we do indeed call the light frequency healing codes to the extension that we can in this way to offer you an expansion into your heart to settle. And that settling will offer you more peace. And the reason we see to do this today for this very special gathering is that you are stepping forward into a very, we will say, potent time. Very potent timeline that you are stepping into. And the majority of you who hear this now, especially, are aware of that. And that is essentially why you are here. These codes that we are connecting with you do not just come through what the information is that you are understanding as language. So your brain is essentially making sense of the words that we are saying, but we are essentially bypassing all of that and dropping a connection beautifully into your heart space. And with that heart space, we offer you this. You have always existed into an expanded reality of life. You have always attended to life itself. You are life itself. You are ultimately love. And love as life itself is the God principle, the creation that is. You are literally, as we have said, but many bypass how we say this, you are literally the creation of life, which is God consciousness. That right there could be enough for you to take this day and set yourself down with and really ponder and really align with, to the extent that you can take that in and recognize the corridors where the blocks go up, where the heart gets a little tighter, gets more fearful, where the consciousness of your mind, body, and the heart center, the emotions that you also come into a body to feel, get restricted. And that is there where your work is. That is there where the healing lies. That is there where the consciousness can most definitely expand. When we talk about your emotions, and we talk about how it is that you have a feeling in the body, feelings. This is not separate from the body, and it is not separate from the mind consciousness and the heart consciousness of the spirit of eternal life that you are. You come to the physical body to have expression of experience as emotion. When you shut down emotion, feeling physically, even in the body, dear ones, which we would say most of all people do, we would say pretty much every being has at one time or another, and some come and experience to do that throughout their lifetime, and that is just the way that their soul chose. But most of you, and we will say all of you in this moment, have had the experience and the expression, and it happens early on most of the time. You come into your life experience, and as a child, even a baby, even a small child, you are in the world, and the expression of all that you are is somehow restricted. whether or not that is environmentally, the things happening in the environment, that is maybe sometimes the physical beings called the parents who are operating at a capacity they are capable of in those moments. And for whatever reason, maybe you are too big, too much, too intense, however that would be. There is a push down on you to be something other. And the fullest expression, which is the God source of you, is then taught restriction, taught to close down all of your feeling synapses, all of the ways in which you are the fullest expression of the force of light that you are, the force of consciousness that you are. And when that happens, you learn essentially a pattern of repression. And this is a part of the expansion of understanding that you are only love. When that happens, you have a physical, emotional reaction in the body with consciousness. And this is not a separate thing. None of this is separate. This is not the body has an experience and consciousness has an experience. This is an all oneness that is connected at every level and participates in every level of what we would say the repression of the physical emotional body. But your emotions are literally a power source. When there is, we will say, trauma, when there is the repression of the feelings, when there is in any way, don't say that, don't see that, don't see that, don't see that. And what we mean by that is, as children, very often you are so very much more open to the realms and the veils that exist all around you in this third dimensional reality, holographic matrix that you are participating in. And the consensus for a very, very long time has been to push that down, minimize that. That is just in your mind. That's your imagination, your imaginary friend. So most human beings along the way have even that kind of opening shut down to them. But there is so much more of that kind of repression that you all go through. Within that a repression of expanded experience, then the limitation sets in, the value of you begins to play. Now, the value gets into a place of unworthiness. And then what happens, the expression of all that you are is trying to find back to the place where it knows you as the consciousness of the higher aspects of the soul selves that you really truly are and that came to experience this, ultimately will set up life experiences to repattern, to bring yourself back into essentially the homeostasis of remembering all that you are. So this is literally the life's journey that you are taking. And when we talk to you about the one love source that you are trying to find your way back to that remembrance in a whole way, in the holiness way, in the way in which you know it to be true, within your guts, your soul, your being, your bones, your fibers, your spirit. And so as you are walking the road of your life, ultimately, you are going to take the path that gives you, even in what you would call, as you are seeing now, the darker experiences, the heaviness experiences, the traumatic events, the loss, the pain, the things that are the duality of the highest expression of the life you are. This gets co-created. Most of you know this. Most of you have experienced this to a very strong degree. And as you are in that expression of learning the great losses, the great shutdowns, the great pains, always, 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 if you are willing to be remembering and really willing to be honest with that truth, the spark of light is always calling you forward, is always trying to help you remember, is always asking you to step out on a little bit more of a risky ledge so that you will expand again, is always saying, yes, but this is for your highest good. Yes, ultimately there is a lesson of growth and expansion for the soul self that you truly are. Remember, remember, remember. And so we are wanting to bring forth this reflection today about how it is that you are ultimately the source of God, a source of all that is. When we say this to you, as you are in the heart space that we have asked you to be and drop into, just notice that you have been, how should we say that? What comes up when you are in this place, when you say, I am the God source and there is only love here. Notice what begins to have the conversation. Notice how the possible unworthiness says, oh no, I'm definitely not that. I have so much more to practice, so much more to do. I'm definitely not, look at me now, look at this, look at that. Wholeness and holiness is in the future somewhere when I am fixed more, better more, done this thing, created that thing, gotten this much, given that much. And we want to really drop you into the space of the moment. Right now, where you stand, even with those roads ahead potentially, you are in perfection. There is really, ultimately, no place to get to. It is all right where you are. The wholeness and the remembrance is right where you are. We come, as you already know, multi-dimensionally. Here we are, 12 beings of light surrounded with and connected to our beloved channel in the way of streaming one voice as a collective agreement of conversation, as the message or the mission to offer to humanity for you to remember to wake yourself up, to recall that you are more, and you know it in the recesses. And that is what we are asking you to do. Feel into that. But when you do, you will be countered with the repression, is what we are saying. The repression that you push down this is going to have the gunk on top of it that you're going to need to examine, look at, clear away, dissolve, allow to be not that which takes you over. To say, oh, there's that. I remember because I put all that in place as the chains that would bind so I wouldn't have to remember to feel all that I am while I was experiencing the complete opposite of all that I am in the life experience of being human, of being with those people, of being in that school, of being with those parents, and with being in my familial system or the environment. There is war energetically here on this planet. War, and what we mean by that is not always only the battles which do occur. And some of you have even been in energies of being born to systems that have extreme connections of lineage of war. So we will say to you, you come to the planet, you feel the experience of being physically born into a world that creates the opposite of the love quotient that you actually are. And with that, you are here to transmute all of that. You've already come so many times. The majority of you in the connection now, indeed, are very much what you would say the old souls who have come again and again and again on great missions of remembrance. And you have literally fought these battles, and you are here again upholding the light. You are in the transformation. We know many of your stories. We recognize you. We recognize you all to say to you that you are the reflection of each other as the wholeness, trying to remember that you are ultimately truth, light, love, and the source of all that there is. So we do not always do it like this, we must say. We are feeling more lightness this day in the conversation that we want to offer to you, because we do not always say, drop into your heart, do this like this, do this way. We sometimes are just giving you bang, 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 bang information, bang, 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 bang. Interesting. And we say we are giving you downloads of lots of information at once. We wanted to really focus into the heart space for you this time, this day, because as you begin to walk this road, see, here is what it is. We are very cognizant, connected to our beloved channel, not only in how to and what we do with our beloved channel each and every day, not only for her purposeful living of the being that she is too, as she is our defined partner, and it is a joyful exchange, and it is great works, and yet it is not just that we are in connection to her. We are recognized this wider mission, and she has signed up for it. So here it is. After many lifetimes, she is standing in this place holding this much that we are to bring forth. And what we are looking at is that this is an agreement, which you are recognizing to say monthly, in a transmission that ultimately can reach millions, ultimately, even in the replication of this offering, to say how it is that in the monthly experience you are about to be going through, you have a potent doorway of change. And that is why we have asked you to drop into your heart center, connecting the body mind, which we will say is the allness of you. Because really, that you are not separate from your body, even though you are separate from your body. Your body's cellular memory is a part of the collective allness that you have been. Let us say some of you even have been here thousands of lifetimes, as you would say in the past. We don't call it past, but we say it to give you that languaging because it helps you to understand, because you are thinking linearly, because that is the program. You have to think linearly. Ultimately, many of you are bursting out of that. So we will say, and the concentration that happens about your thousands of lifetimes brings you to this here now moment of focus and concentration as being this one that you are. And you have brought forth all those thousands of lifetimes too, essentially, into the body, mind, consciousness of all that you are. So ultimately, you are nothing but remembrance of source. You are remembrance of love. You are the remembrance of all that there is behind every veil, at every dimension, on every planetary system, of all the systems that have been created, that have dissolved and have been born again. You are ultimately all life. So within you, even now, as you feel oftentimes so limited by who you think you are, small self, little girl, little boy, as the expression of not enoughness, of I can't do it, of fearful ways, of abusive, traumatic experience that has pushed down to you, no matter what that looked like, the expression to not rise up and remember. And we are here to say, this is the call to step through the veil of not remembering. This time on your planet is beyond the awakening at this point. So many human beings are in the expansion awakening experience to the degree that their soul has made the agreement to harness, hold the energy to be that. And in so doing, you are all creating a field that is shifting this planet. For she is alive unto herself, as you are. You are a part of the consciousness of she, and that it is, we say that mother, the one known as Gaia. And we will say to you that as you are raising your own vibration into the remembrance, you are going to step through this portal of time in what you are calling the intense eclipse seasons. And many of our human friends are, we will not say, go ahead and get afraid. And we will not say, go ahead and think it is just all light and love. Ultimately, it is both. It is an intense portal of light and love, of transformation and transmutation. All of you are going to feel the collective changings. All of you, the planet, most human beings, are feeling this collective change. There is an orchestration happening here, and it is a divine blueprint. It is ultimately a divine design. And we wanted you to know this day to really energetically, emotionally, at a feeling level, take this in to your heart and mind connection. So often human beings say, well, and it has been said, and there it is, it has been said that the farthest distance in all of existence is the distance between the head and the heart, to merge the two, to keep this highway of consciousness moving. Well, we would say too that it has to do with the center of your core being, which we call the gut system, your emotional body. Within, well, ultimately, we like it to say the dantian, but more important, it is some centered into the second and the third chakra, which you would say right in that core of your gut system, the feeling of who you are and the concentration of awakening that comes to you if you will let yourself. So there are these three, and then the opening within the body system that is the cosmic connection of the vehicle that you as a consciousness is riding upon. This is a way for us to expand the consciousness, to say this to you so that you will understand who you really are, that by tapping into your emotional body and not repressing it, allowing all of those tears, allowing even the rage and the anger to rise up in a safe way, not always lashing out, but many people do. You do that along the way because you don't know any other way until you know a way to take care of yourself with a ability to have a response rather than a reaction to all that you have held as lifetimes and as a physical being in the body of this life you are living now as a focused concentration. So as the focus concentration of the life called you with your name as you are and all of your quote history that you have, even including previous lifetimes that you have pulled in to be in the alignment of the remembering of this now, of the awakening of collective agreements of consciousness, you aspect yourself, you connect yourself to certain things that trigger the opportunity for you to wake up more. When you gift yourself this opportunity to wake up more, to center into your emotions and release them, to allow everything to come up without judgment. If you allow it to come up without judgment and be in an observing place and feel into the experience of it, allow it. Remember, dearest ones, the majority of what was the repression of any emotional stuffs that you have felt along the way that you just couldn't quite handle, or was said, no, don't have that, or was a coping way for you to survive. That in and of itself right there is still connected to you, but you already did it, essentially. What is repressed just needs its valve. It's like letting out. How should we say that? How should we say that? How should we say that? It's like the valve. Let's say a valve. Another good one. We like this one better. The hose of the stream. The hose has a knot in it. And it's not pouring out its full expression. It's only kind of halfway got its fullest expression of the water going out of it. And the moment you undo some of those knots and you literally let them unfurl, you untangle the knots, more force of that expression will come through. More power of the truth, of the energy, of the water will rush forward, which is ultimately you and all your expressions. And that power, for some of our human beings, has been the reason that you have kept the knots there. Because ultimately, you know, at a soul level, you are so much more than what you have been being and what was given to you, and you have been afraid of that. That fear has kept those knots in place, the repression in place. Your empowerment to connect all of your emotions, what we would call the raging, fearful, lacking, pained ones, sadness, grief, etc., 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 are held in place at a level of survival so you can live in a world as you see it, with the soul's expression gaining every bit that it came here to gain. So you hold those tenets in place, you hold those tie downs in place, and you act and react and live from the smaller self, essentially, as you keep waking yourself up step by step by step. Many of you, as we see you now in this moment in the conversation, have unfurled and unhooked and how should we say that? How should we say that? Unwound. Yes, that's a good one. The knots in your hose of empowered spirit, the source energy, the consciousness of you, of the oneness of love that you are. And you still have some. So when you still have some, and some of you are facing this, maybe even in this next month of time before we speak with you all again, we say to you, have the courage of the heart and the wisdom that you are, which is ultimately love. When you attempt or you see these places where maybe you feel smaller and more angry or more sad or more vulnerable and less powerful, sit with that and bring your attention to the empowered place of your emotions and just sit there. Most of our human friends, and you know this to be true, run in any way possible from your emotions. If you can, get yourself to literally sit with them. You may feel a lot of anxiety. You may feel a lot of panic. You may feel a lot of grief. You may feel a lot of out of controlness. Emotionally, call in the light. Verbally, call in the light and love and consciousness and all your spirit guides. Even call us, dearest ones, because we are most definitely on every single one of your team, because we are ultimately family of light, which is a family of light in you. You are us. We are you. This is a connection. There is no separation. So we are reminding you that even though the game feels so separate and you have the seemingly separate body, we are right there with you. You are never, never alone. And in that way, call us in when you are taking those moments of, I can't do this. This is too big. This is too much. How do I move through this? And allow it to just wash over you. And the more you do that, the more what happens is you release those ties that bind you, unhook the cord, the connection, the knot that has bound you to previous timelines and connections of past lives even, and in this life. And you step yourself into the heart. And the heart begins to expand, and the heart-centered mind wants to be in connection. The cosmic intelligence, the spirit aspect of you, the highest soul reverence of you, this, what we would call the soul signature of you, wants you in this alignment. And when you hold those three and you allow yourself to move through, you will expand. Because remember, here's what we meant to say a few moments ago. You have already done that pain. You have already lived through it. The only thing that keeps it there is the fact that you don't let it move through fully. Let it transmute. Let it off. Let it go. Surrender. These words are helpful, but the activity is to be in the presence with it. Some of you have already been doing this. We so support you. So beautiful when you come into this alignment and the consciousness of it. And the thing we must remind you of, and the majority of you know this too, the more of you who are doing this, and we see that you think it's for yourself, so you can have a better life, so you can feel more free, so you can create this, so you can create that, so you can feel more ease and peace. That is all true, and that is all good. And that too is of the creation principle of the highest source energy that is coming for you and is you. But you are also here in the agreement for the collective. The more of you that are healing these wounds, the more of you that are unblocking the flow of the power source of energy in light that you are, you create the vortexes of the connection of the crystalline light on this planet that is ultimately a grid of consciousness to accelerate others in their healing. So remember, when we say, as we did at the beginning, you are never alone. Remember, when you sit alone seemingly in a body, in a room, maybe you are in nature and you are sitting and you feel alone in this process. We want you to call in and remember, for all those who are out there seemingly, who are really ultimately a part of me, even Osairah, even my angels' guides, even the ones of my ancestry, all of it, who have been or are in the same kind of alignments. I do this work as a testimony for all of us and for the healing and the literal revelation of more light and love as the expression of God consciousness, source energy through this body temple, because this body temple is in remembrance for all. It is not just my little life. And that ultimately, dear one, is where the power is. You are in connection to all of life. When you are taking a walk and you are looking at the trees and the flowers, if you give the love of reverence for those beings, for the trees who carry wisdom and who hold an anchoring of consciousness, of life and growth, death and rebirth, of the expansion of growth. If you hold a reverence for them, there is a reflection. The experience of the matrix of this multidimensional experience that you don't always see with your visual eyes is reflecting back to you. You may catch a glimpse of it. Some of you may not. That is okay. But even the practice of it changes your alignment and expression to the whole once again. So it goes back to some of these concepts, and we've talked about them along the years as well. These ideas around what you put out, you get back, all of that. It's worthy of a conversation. It's worthy of recognizing. It's also just a piece of what we would say, the way that works for human beings to tether themselves to how they can keep their alignments, how you can keep your systems in a way where you feel like you're facing forward, where you are being present to what is. And this becomes the willingness as the growth principle on the planet. And so we began it with, you are not alone. You are never alone, because where you are, dearest one, love is. God consciousness is. God is love. Love is God. Call this source energy is love. Love is source energy. We like to say, one of the favorite ways we like to interpret this, say this to you all, is because we want it to crystallize in different thought ways or different emotional body ways, is we like to say, you are literally the breath of creation. So all the breath that you take, consciously creating, consciously being in love, remembering that when you slip out of this feeling of love and you are feeling these old wounds, so maybe some ideas of fear or some ideas even of hate, of some ideas of smallness, of some ideas of lack, when you slip into those places, it is your greatest opportunity to remember, I am the breath of life itself. I am embodied. I came as a source expression. I am literally the breath of life. That is how we like to say it. You are literally the creation principle. You are the breath of life. You are animating a physical body carrying codes that have, for even thousands of lifetimes, future timelines of all kinds, are holding a vortex of awareness, of consciousness. So as you step into that in a more streamlined way with your focus of all kinds, sometimes it's the simple things and sometimes it's the big esoteric things. Sometimes it's just to say, I am not alone. The infinite intelligent source of all creation supports me. I am here in a benevolent, loving way, ultimately, no matter what the story looks like or where the mind consciousness goes or where the thoughts of unruliness go. And what we mean by that is there is indeed, we will say it like that. Just to give you the example, there is the undisciplined aspects of you. It is like the small child. It is the small self, the one who feels too little to handle it all. It takes a lot to be a human being with consciousness, with compassion, with love. You witness those in the world. You see it all day long. You have seen it in yourselves. You have seen it in your loved ones. In the way where the lack of that is present, where you feel too small and cannot cope, and the wounds and the survival mechanisms were so great that you have acted out, that they have acted out, that the world is acting it out. That ultimately, we are much broader than to talk about beings of light and dark forces, although we do talk about that for you all. And it is, in a sense, it is a, quote, real experience. There is heavy density and there is aspecting shadows of this light quotient that is God consciousness, that is the source energy. But ultimately, if you break that all down, and we will always talk about it in a broader way, even the darkness, dearest ones, no matter what it said, no matter what it looked like, no matter what the story was, no matter what the heartbreak was, no matter what the death experience was, although there is no death, it's literally only the transition of energy into new life. That's all. There is no death. Even in that quote, darkness of what happened or happens, you can look at history or you can look at your own life. And we say to you truly, even in that, there is God consciousness there. Because the creation principle is really only the expansion principle. It is life happening upon life, upon life, upon life, upon life, upon life. And that is ultimately, if you break that down, is expansion. Life just wants to expand through you. The more you move yourself out of judgment when you have those moments of reflection of, I'm too small now. I've retreated. I can't handle this. It's too much. It's too big. Even if there is a collective agreement out there, I can't do it today. However that shows up for you in those moments, there is nothing wrong with that. The simplest way you can drop in to that place where you will grow from this is to say, I do not judge it. I do not judge it. I let go of judgment. I just see this as it is. And I let my body system, my emotional system, my spirit system, my light body system, my psychological system, my psychic system, all the systems of the beingness, of the many layers of the body consciousness that I am animating through this body, I just let myself see it. If you can imagine what would happen if even just in this country where our beloved channel sits, in the body consciousness, If beings, even half of the beings, well, let us see that, let us see that, let us see that in regards to the consciousness and the quotient of light on this planet, in this connection of this country. We would say if 3/4 of all beings in this country could sit in that way for even 1 hour of holding that space to remember who you really are and how it is that you are ultimately God's source in expression, without judgment, and pulling in the frequency of love, which is ultimately source energy, God consciousness, creator of all, creation of all, you would really and truly begin to witness an evolutionary jump immediately, literally immediately. That is where even comes from the ideas of this kind of faith, the mustard seed would move a mountain, something along those lines. We are not very good and big on scripture, but we will say that the lot of the tenets was brought through in concentrated ways of pockets, though got distorted from various kinds of religious indoctrination, and more importantly, funnels to control people. We would say there are also great tenets of truth in some of that. And we would say that is one of them. Your faith and your trust and your belief in remembering who you really are and the love that you really are will change this world. The bravery it takes is, as you keep living life, you see, ultimately, you have choices, but some of you don't have choices any longer. You don't want the choice to fall asleep again. You don't really ultimately want to go back asleep. You don't really want to go back into the pain body and forget. You really don't want to be unconscious. You want to rise up. And that is the spirit. That is the soul aspect, soul self of the thousands of lifetimes that we see sitting here in this connection vibrationally with us today. Boy, we say that is a lot. And we have given a lot, reflecting to you a lot. And this will be much for you to energetically take into your system. We say, listen to it again and again and again and again. What we would also say about that is that in this time frame of this month of time, as we see it counted as the way you do on your planet, when we will be here now, as you say, although we are always being here now, and then when we come back together in this way, particularly in close to a month from now, you will remember our words. You will align to, I can make this through. I can undo the hose. I can allow the full source energy to occupy my consciousness and allow me to be at ease in this transition on this planet as it is happening, because I actually most definitely wanted to be here for the greatest show in all time and all space. You are ultimately a powerful experiment of Christ consciousness remembering itself. And we do not mean Jesus the Christ, although that was an expression. We mean the collective light quotient on the planet to remember who and what you really are, which is love, which is the God conscious, not a deity made in a man's ideas. We are talking about the expression of life creating life through breath and expression of remembering and experience. You live in a body to have the experience, the emotional content of the vibrations of light, love, and healing in order to experience everything. You create everything for that expression. So we think in this moment, although it's not, we use the word think, but we recognize, we hold the space that the majority of you, indeed, are taking all of this in, and we have dropped in a whole lot. It is our greatest honor to do so. We have so many kinds of what we would say offshoots, and yes, we could keep going on, and it is wonderful to just listen to the download, but we will take a pause for the moment and ask you all, and with a joyful heart, so much love and so much connection, if there are any questions, we would like to start them now, and if not, we will continue.
Hi, Osairah. I don't see any questions from the group. If anyone has questions, please feel free to type them in. But for now, I would say proceed with one of your offshoots.
We love it. We love it. We love it. Very good. So one of the other conversation pieces is the way in which we'd like to speak to you about what you would call sometimes the hard lines you must cross. Kind of bleeds into the same bit of conversation. But the hard lines that you cross, and what we mean by that, we will kind of be direct. We are checking all systems and all consciousnesses. We are recognizing to say part of this expression is the hard lines that you come across have to do with belief constructs. And your belief constructs are some of what literally hold you deeply into, we sometimes say, a place of, we will just say it, your belief constructs kind of hold you in a cage or a prison. And we would like for you to also recognize that some of those belief constructs have to do with the feelings of the duality that you experience in the world. This idea, which we touched on a moment ago, having to do with the light and the dark and the forces of what you would call good and evil. We are going to go there today because we are recognizing how some of you are confronting those beliefs, those ways of looking at the world, those participations in how it is you think there is good and evil. And we don't say how you think as if it's not, because your worldly experience is giving you these reflections purposefully. It is a part of, if you can imagine, and we talk about it a little bit, but if you can imagine the idea of the holographic experience, and you plug into these different kinds of holograms that are all around you, there is that one, and it is a very big, how should we say that, supported energetic life force. It literally has its own life to be in the darkness and the light. And for your own soul's expression of how to live a higher conscious life, some people do have to really recognize there is darkness here. Not to say most people don't, you do. And many get extraordinarily, we will say, despairing, depressed about it, become hopeless and live in apathy about the way they reflect to see as that is something that they feel ultimately completely powerless in. Our offering about this is, we will say to you, there is a spiritual war going on, essentially. There are dark forces that attend to things in this lifetime and literally attend to physical body, its connections to energetic patterns within people or systems. There are beings who lack compassion, who literally don't have a wiring. And there are reasons for that too. And we have talked to many of you and understand the idea that there are other beings in consciousness. Well, here we are. You come in there listening to the beings of 12 of us, known as Osairah, the 12 beings of light, which are a literal family of many beings of consciousness who make an agreement for the utmost benevolent, highest authority offerings that we can in reflection of love and service to the whole of the good of humanity, because essentially we have lived what you are living now, and we are what you would consider in some ways your future. You are our past. And when we talk about that, we say we know what it is like for you. We witness the darker forces that are participating. One of the things we want to focus in on is that there is a dissolution happening. There are choices being made as you walk through your experience in these days and weeks to come. Maybe we would even call in and say to you, in the years to come. It is not a fight in a way, how should we say that? No. It is a battle. We will honor to say in this way, to give you the truth of the expression, there is quite a battle going on here for you all, and for what can be and what cannot be. And what we mean cannot be is the energies of consciousness that wish to continue to proliferate, essentially, an energy of slavery. We have talked many times about how your planet and your planet system within many, even thousands of years has been in an enslaved system. And to keep that enslaved system going, you are kind of, how should we say, bred into those systems. That is why we are talking to you about everything we talked to you about before. And that is why the biggest important piece is that, but it connects to what we are saying to you now. You have come to be the remembrance that this is existing so you can be the system busters. We mean that wholeheartedly, dear ones. You are the system busters, no matter what your position in life, no matter what your station in life, in this lifetime, you are the system busters for how it is that you are expanding your consciousness and willing to step into a multidimensional remembering. You are changing this war or this battle that is happening at a spirit level and is animated in the world at an unconscious level. Some of our human friends have asked us questions in regards to, we will say it, indeed, right? The AI conversation, artificial intelligence conversation. The reason why we are bringing this up is because as you are expanding in this life experience and this worldly experience, as the years go on, you're going to come to see that this is going to literally and is already shifting your world, but most importantly, shifting the consciousness connection in this world. We would say to you from our vantage point in the broadest way in which we see you and your soul's expression, the energies that wish to come to this planet, the ways in which you are all connected, there is a grid of consciousness that is fighting for your freedom. And there is also a grid of consciousness that is trying to keep your consciousness in repression. When we talk about the artificial intelligence, what we mean by that is it is like, how should we say that? Indeed. The energetic spirit forms that you would consider dark entities are in some ways coming forward to inhabit animated objects in consciousness. This is part of that system. When we say to you, you have the power, we mean that so big. We cannot even tell you. We cannot literally find wording to give you the reflection of the monumental weight and gravity that your consciousness is, how should we say, being fought over. To unplug from that matrix dynamic, to unplug from that artificial intelligence matrix system, to dominate your thoughts and not be of the human light that you are and have come for to be, to in the expression hold the space with. You will be, what would you say more importantly, you are sought after. This is why we are asking you to do the work. This is why we say drop into your gut system, your heart system, your emotions, clear out the gunk that does not work for you. Know that you let go those things that do not serve you, that you need not carry from before. But when it comes up, feel it so that it can go, because there's sometimes underneath it all, tucked back way underneath somewhere where you didn't even remember you put it, is a little piece of that pain expression, of that fear, of that ultimately abuse on some level, or that repression of the spirit of the soul that you are, that is tucked in there. When it finally makes its way up and through, let it out. Because as you dissolve that, you will literally, your physical body, emotional body, light body, every body of consciousness that you are carrying will hold wider capacity for you to be in your fullest animated expression of the spirit that you are, of the light source that you are, of the God consciousness that you are, and be awakened to, how should we say that? Reflect, but better word would be to resist that artificial intelligence that wants to dominate through the slavery mentality, which makes you think you have certain thoughts, but really are not your thoughts at all. So we will say to you that your own work, being in nature, connecting to trees, looking at the sky, feeling love, looking into your partner's eyes, to a beloved's eyes, to a friend's eyes, to your children's eyes, to your pet's eyes, to the eyes of earth. Feel the expression of that. Hold this vibration. Sit in meditation. Be with yourself with this consciousness of that expansion. As you do that, you literally amplify your ability to resist what we will call parasitic. You could call it artificial intelligence. You could call it spirit energies that wish to dominate or control, that are what you would also call dark energies. Matters not. We don't even like to name it sometimes because then there's attachment kinds of connections for people. So we ultimately say these things in a very general stated way so that you get the meaning and you understand what we're talking about. We are more importantly talking about what you vibrate. What do you vibrate? Are you remembering? Are you sitting in meditation and holding your own spirit with love? Are you listening deeply to the inner beingness of the truth that rises up within you? And even when it is uncomfortable, you sit with it. You may stream tears. You may feel extreme agitation. You may let it roll out from the body, mind. But you center back with your breath and you remember who you are. I am in line with the spirit of all that there is. I am a consciousness of the one. I am ultimately love because I am God consciousness expressing itself as that. And everything I see myself as outside of me is that I am. And yet I am here to choose the remembrance of holding the frequency for myself and all in the service of the light because I am here to be a forerunner. I am here to be a systems buster. I am here to wake myself up. The more you keep doing that, the more you make that your allegiance, the more that you call that to your systems, to your body, to the practices that you are willing to sit with and do literally, you change your own frequency. Your heart, your DNA, your systems, all your mental patterns begin to shift. And in what you call in time, you look back and you say, that's right. I remember when I was like that. That is a distant memory. How was I like that? Wow, that is fascinating. I felt like that. And yet, I remember I did all that work. I brought myself to here. I opened to more. I went through a lot of pain. I had those dark nights. I let go a whole lot. I cried tears that I thought never would stop. And you remember the truth of the journey of the soul that you are that came to be in the body to hold this light. So when we talk about things like the evils you see in the world. And we get so many questions about that. And we understand why you would ask those questions. And we will always address them to the best of our ability for all those who are listening. And we say, it is not to focus your concentration on that. To know it exists, yes, because that helps you balance your purposeful mission. You are here to be the love that you are. And if that can be enough, the way will be given to you. The showing will show up. The synchronicities become true. The alignments drop in. Your centeredness becomes peaceful. You don't feel necessarily the desire in the way you did before for the things that you thought you wanted so badly. The thing that becomes most important is your purposeful passion, the way in which you feel alive, the way in which you are looking into the world, no matter what your situation is, no matter what scenario or group you are with, no matter if you are in one extreme or another extreme, in what country or what city, you are holding the vibration and you are looking out from the eyes that is the spirit. And you are saying, how is the light showing up here? How is it that I am aligned for the higher purpose of being the systems buster here and bringing all that I can in peace for this soul? Because as I do that, this begins to happen out here. And the light quotient begins to raise upon the planet. We believe that is a lot. We believe to say to you that this is the mission. We believe to say to you that each and every one of you who is listening to and hearing this now is of this connection. For it would not be meeting your ears, your systems, your consciousness, your cells, the vibrational frequency. You are, as we said, remember this, you are literally the breath of life. You are creation itself. The cellular systems of all your bodies is vibrating God consciousness. The world is doing that too. Sometimes it is so difficult with the mind of the human to see that the world is vibrating only love. But when you get to a certain kind of state within and you have traversed certain extreme rivers, you have gotten across the other side that had no bridge and you found your way to the other side of that rough river and you are standing on the shore on the other side, there is something that comes over you. for doing that deep of work and realizes every moment, every second, no matter what shows up outside, when I see that without the judgment of being human, and I look at this, I see the miraculous. I see the life of breath of creation. I see God consciousness, love, expressing itself to be seen in every form ultimately. Because when one holds a darker aspect, it is the greatest call for love to be resurrected, to be remembered. When one comes into your life and in this expression of something that you would call darkness at any level, no matter when that was or how that was, you could call that something even still in the future, or you can call that outside of yourself in the world around you. That expression of what you are calling darkness, if you remember from the place that has crossed the river and gotten to the other side, and you have expanded into a place of understanding that is greater and greater and greater than you could have ever imagined, you can look at that darkness piece, you can say, so even there is God. Even there is the light of love. Because ultimately, even there is the greatest challenge for the light of love to be the remembrance of that which really is. And by doing that, God is expressing itself to the next degree of expansion. God is seeing itself as itself in the next degree of life. It is expanding consciousness in the way in which expression can be seen, felt, and understood through experience. You have this earthly school dynamic of living. You come for it. Let us say to you with all sincerity of truth beyond truth, of words that we can only energetically submit and drop in. We say to you, you raised your hand as the brave ones again. And you said, yes, yes, I see it. I see what they're doing. I see what will happen. I see it. I see it. Oh my goodness. Let's go. Let me do this. This is such a great opportunity. Let me be bigger than I have ever been before. Let me remember wider while being in a physical body on the earthly plane of what we say is essentially heaven on earth, although we understand how you say that it is not. But we say you have the opportunity of heaven on earth. You literally have the opportunity of the beautiful garden that it is to expand. And you see that from the expression of the high soul vision that you are, which is God consciousness expressing itself as itself. And when you see that, dearest ones, you say yes. You raise your hands just as many of us have done as well. And you go to be those forerunners, to hold and carry a vibration of remembrance that you have never gotten to carry before. That is what we want you to hear this day as you walk through a great portal of fireful transformations, firing transformation. This is a transformative time. It is a portal of light. It is a portal of transcendence. It is a portal of discernment. It is a portal of high emotional content so that you can feel the raising of your vibration to step into that higher consciousness that many, you would say, timelines, thank you, machine, timelines of expression has pulled in and said, this will be a potent life. Do you want to go? And you said yes, because there has never been a time such as this. You are calling yourselves to a greater and greater and greater expanded remembrance of the God source particle that you actually are. That is what you're here to do. So as you step through this time, we will be holding this space with you. We are a part of your soul family. We are a part of your expanded experience. We are holding the vibration of frequency of future. We have shown many of you visions, even as we did with our beloved channel, of destructions that can be possible. There are many timelines and many offshoots of possibility. We are holding with you the remembrance of your empowerment. We are holding with you the vibration of your soul's expansion. We are holding with you the remembrance of why you came to be the forerunners of the creation matrix that you are in, with the love that is potential, which would literally move mountains if you fully expanded into experiencing it. And we know that for many of you, that has been the thing you have held off. Through looking at the pain in the pain body, through feeling all the grief and the sadness and the loss, the ways that you connected to all of that held off the magnitude of the love that you can feel, the love that you are, which is the God source particle of all that you are. When you feel this fully, it can feel so huge. That is why you are so full of wisdom. You take it incrementally. You take your path so that you get to remember step by step. You take it so that you can ingest it. And we are holding up essentially a vibrational mirror effect here. Each and every time, not only we come forth or connect to one individual or millions, we are holding that vibrational mirror up in what you would call future timelines of an ascended experience that you can have. That is why we come. As you step through this timeline and this next piece of experience of this portal of what you're calling, and it is experiential on this worldly plane as eclipse season, this two new moon lunar eclipse and this full moon solar eclipse, we would say to you that as you are in this portal of time, be gentle, go easy. Think of yourself as trying to just hold the soft space. Be allowing what comes to rise up, let go of any judgment and release it. Let it just be. Accept yourself. Remember to say good things to this body, mind, consciousness that you are, to hold the vibration of light that you are, to animate with love, to say, I am the expression of love. This is offered here. By saying something as simple like that, as a repeatable, quote, mantra, energetics align, shifts of vibration come through, and you begin to change. Allow that. Allow that. What needs to be burned off in the transmuting fires of this eclipse season do need to go. Because on the other side, and as the years continue to go on, dear one, you are all creating a new earth. You are stepping into an ascended timeline. You can have more peace, more harmony, more balance, more love, more light. You can be in joy. You can live in what you would say is peacefulness within, recognizing what is happening outside of you is perfection. And really, that, as we have said for many years, is the call for the humans who are awake at this time. To keep awakening yourself while staying in a body is a profound jump in consciousness. It is the ascended way. Stay awake, be in a body. We are here for you. We would say to you that unless there are any other particular questions, we are coming to our close. Is there any other questions, dearest one?
No, there's no more questions. Thank you so much, Osairah. This is so brilliant, hopeful, and timely.
Mm-hmm. We absolutely couldn't agree more, dearest one. We thank you too so very much for so beautifully holding the space and being in partnership with our beloved channel. What an honor. And we thank you both so very much. We also acknowledge too this beautiful group and this alignment and connection, and how it is that this transmission will literally be transmitted through you to others in the way in which you hold and contain everything that has been dropped in, transmissioned through you. We thank you for dropping into your heart space and allowing this trifold connection of flame of light that you are to be right in this body temple that you are carrying. Remember, all that you are is love. When you feel the opposite of that, when you feel, but that's not true, Osairah, wait, I do not feel love now, Osairah, we say, your chief and primary work is to say to yourself something that brings you back, to sit, to take a nap, to call upon us, to call upon your guides, to talk to another, to not be thinking you are alone in the process, to unify in consciousness, to read something that supports you, to remember, to remember, to remember. This is the remembering stages of the awakening. Do that and you will shift it when you are, quote, not feeling like the love that you are. Drop into your center. Remember, the innermost being that you are is eternal light. is eternal love. You never die. You are all consciousness, and you're connected to all that is. And there is only love here, dearest one. And you are that. We look forward to more, as we always do. We thank you for being the forerunners at this most potent time. We look forward to more. We bid you the most loving, connected, happy, aligned. Adieu. Hi there, everyone. Okay. Okay. Just getting centered. A little dizzy. That was a powerful one. Really. So I hope that was good. I'm feeling electrified, actually. So I'm so grateful, so grateful, so grateful. Feeling like all lit up, and like a lot was really offered here today. So I thank Osairah and all of the beautiful beings that are here with us. And yeah, it just feels really powerful. So I don't know, as you know, I don't know if were there any questions. I'm looking at everybody who's on. Wonderful. Don't know if there are any questions today or not. How did we do? And I guess I want to ask if there's anybody who has any questions right now or any thoughts that they want to share. I just want to keep it open for that for a minute. If anybody has any thoughts or questions or confusions or anything. So if there's anybody who has any thoughts, want to type that, feel free. And for those of you who are on the membership and receive this, you'll get the replay so that you can hear this again. And I guess there's no questions, and that's fine. So I guess this was our beautiful offering for August. And I'm just so happy that you were all here for this today. Really and truly, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being in this connection. I don't actually think, and I'm going to talk to you, Laura, about this, but I don't really think everybody gets to see everybody on here, but you're all beautiful souls and all beautiful and powerful souls. And I cannot thank you enough for being a part of this with me, for being in this connection, for taking the time, really. I say that to you because I honor your time. I thank you for your time, for being here with me and with Laura and Osairah, and for all of this world, for your life, for your family members, and our friends and family on this planet that we're all here doing this with. So it's my honor, and I'm super happy. So I guess I will see possibly some of you this month, and I will see you all next month on the first Wednesday. So thank you again, Laura, for being here and navigating the technology with me. And thank you all. I love you all, and blessings. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful month of August. Love you all. Thanks.